And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is embarking on a three-nation tour from November 16th to November 21st. He will be visiting Brazil for the G20 Summit and in order to strengthen bilateral ties with Nigeria and Guyana. At the invitation of Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Prime Minister Modi, he will be visiting Nigeria. This will be the first visit by a Prime Minister of India to Nigeria in 17 years. So the Prime Minister there leaving for his three-nation visit. He'll be visiting Brazil for the G20 Summit. He'll also be strengthening bilateral ties with Nigeria and Guyana. This is his first visit by a Prime Minister of India to Nigeria in 17 long years. This visit is at the invitation of Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Prime Minister Modi, he will be visiting Nigeria from 16 to 17 November 2024. So you can see on your screens Prime Minister Modi embarking on the three-nation tour. He is departed for the three-nation tour in the meanwhile. And my colleague Mohammed Ghazali joins us to get us more on this. Ghazali, just give us a sense of how crucial this visit is for the Prime Minister.
See, this is a very crucial visit considering the three countries he is visiting, and all except Brazil, the rest of the two countries like Nigeria and Guyana are the places where India is looking to expand its strategic relationship with both the countries. And as far as we know, that Brazil is certainly important because India was the host last year for the G20. This time it's Brazil, where the Prime Minister said that he will attend the 19th G20 Summit as a Troika member. Last year, India's successful presidency elevated the G20 to People's G20 and mainstreamed the priorities of the Global South into its agenda. So certainly, a trip to Brazil is very important considering the G20 Summit, where India will also like to host, or it is very likely that the Prime Minister will also be holding bilateral meetings with other leaders of the other nations. But before that, his first visit is to Nigeria, and it's happening after 17 years that an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Nigeria on the invitation of their president there, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, who has extended the invite. And it also indicates, the visit also indicates that if you see in the last 6 months since he came to power, that India is also diversifying its partners. Earlier for defense, for energy, for technology, or even for higher education, India was solely dependent or reliant on the Western nations. But in this particular term, we have seen that how India is also magnifying its outreach, not just in the immediate neighborhood, but even to those countries where for a very long time there was no Indian representative as a head of a state who had visited there. So be it like Brunei, we saw a couple of months ago when Prime Minister visited Brunei. And then India is also focusing on public diplomacy. The public diplomacy in the sense that how Indian diaspora is very active in certain nations, and Nigeria happens to be one.
Right, absolutely. In fact, talking about the Global South Summit also, how do you think the Prime Minister's visit in the voice of the Global South Summit there influence India's stance on global issues during the G20 Summit there?
India has been very vocal, Osama, when it comes to particularly on these two conflicts which is ongoing for the last 3 years when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war and also the situation in West Asia. Time and again, Indian Prime Minister, the External Affairs Minister have been voicing their concern that how these two conflicts, the ongoing conflicts, have hampered or has the potential to disturb an entire region. West Asia is already on the boil. India's Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has been one of the very rare leaders who has been able to speak to the leaders of both the warring factions, or say both the nations who are at war, be it the Palestine. In the case of the West Asia, the Prime Minister recently in the past had met the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Time and again, he has been talking to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, it has been very evident that how India's stand on the conflict, what it has been. Prime Minister has time and again said that this is not the time of war or era of war, and solutions cannot be found on battlefield. And that has resonated by both the leaders in both cases, be it the West Asia war or be it the Russia-Ukraine war. So this time also, it is expected that on similar lines, Prime Minister Modi, when he visits or attends the G20 summit, this will be India's stand, which will be vocally sounded there. And we'll have to see that there has been, in the United States, we know that how elections have brought a new leader, Donald Trump, though he has not assumed office till now. But all eyes will be on India's bold stand when it comes to conflict and how India has been facing criticism by the West for harboring relations with Russia. So all these issues will yet again come up in these global visits.